was trying to, yes, I did shrink in to fit into the rooms, to feel belong, to feel accepted.
Mm-hmm.
I felt I was broken from inside and I was not happy from inside. And yes, by the time I had a kid, so when I saw my kid, I felt no, in this kid or any kid in the world never deserves a broken parent who's
Mm-hmm.
not at peace with themselves. And I think that is the space where I've started picking up a courage that I got to be the role model for my kid to live life limitlessly, right? Not to live by somebody else's expectations. Yes, if you want to do something, you can go for it and you can achieve it. The results doesn't matter. All
Yeah.
is how are you regulating yourself and how are you moving forward is what I believe now. Yeah.
This is Leadership Sound Bites. Real leaders, real moments, real growth.
So welcome to this week's episode of Leadership Soundbites with another extra special guest, Dr. Divya. So Divya was, I think it was Sabrina Johnson connected us. Yeah. And then you and Suhana know each other because I
Yeah.
think that connection happened. So it's the whole 6 degrees or 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon that we're literally all connected, which is great. And you're in Dubai.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. So with Suhana's there too as well. So you're an iconic business coach, which is an interesting title, right? And part of the next circle, a community which I haven't heard of before. Um, and so I'm excited to have this conversation because you've got the most interesting background. So when you were talking, it's like, yeah, I was a dentist, which is why the doctor, and I'm like, what? Stop. So you were a dentist, went to school, did all this stuff, dentistry for 7 or 8 years, if I remember right, and then transitioned into, yeah, there's got to be more, essentially. Those are my words and not yours. And that caused you to branch off and keep learning and growing and stepping into the space that you're eventually the space you're in today, which I think is freaking cool and a great story for other people. So, welcome to the conversation. And I know you have a quote to kick us off.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Michelle, for having me here today. I am very much interested in having this conversation with you as well as you are. So, about the quote that you were just asking me about, I would
Yeah.
say there's a quote by Dr. Terry Terrain, if you know. Not
Mm-mm.
every journey comes with a map. Few come with a magnet, right? And I so resonate with this quote because all through journey that I had in my career or anywhere in my life, I planned something. And for the same reason that you said, I started off with being a dentist, working as a dentist, practicing, being a clinical practitioner. And then today, if you just cut that and see, I am here with you sitting as the iconic business coach. So I would say it was more of a magnetic pull that I am here today rather than something I had planned.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting when you say that, Divya, because I look back at my career, right, where you planned the first part of your career journey. I did not, right? So when you talk about, and I've never heard that quote before, so I didn't have a map, but there was a magnet drawing me forward into different things, right? And it may have been out of curiosity, because I would hear certain things, as we're going up, or as I was growing up, I go, well, what about such and such? And so, for instance, okay, I'll give you a prime example. I went to high school and I graduated high school a year early, and mainly out of boredom. Okay, I was like, and there was an opportunity. They had a program that you could work at your own pace and yada, yada, yada. So I had one class in the traditional school system, and it was French 3, and it was in the morning. And so 4 weeks before I'm gonna graduate, my end of my junior year, it was a year early. I do not have a plan. Okay, I have a job, but I have a job working at like J.C. Penney's, and doing stuff. No other plan. But on my desk is this long distance operator, this training that Pacific Bell at the time, who was the telephone company, was offering this however many week training that people could go to, and with the opportunity to potentially get a job offer at the end of this training. I had no plan. Okay. I'm like, okay, yeah. So I signed up for this training and went to it and then became a long distance operator. because I went through the training and then I got hired. But it's one of those things when I look back, it was like either something was interesting because I would hear about a job or something. I go, that'd be kind of cool. That was my plan. That would be kind of cool. And then the magnet showed up and I was drawn toward it. And it wasn't until later in my career that I actually started having a plan, but it was after doing all this other stuff. So it was just the flip
Yes. Yeah,
of what
yeah,
you
yeah.
talk about.
So I would say, you can only join the dots looking backward and not forward.
Yes,
Yeah, that's quite interesting. And I see at every point you were just open for the opportunities that were showing up for yourself. And that
exactly.
story more interesting.
So I remember you talking with dentistry, so that you're in there working and you knew you wanted more. And yet you had a leader that you reported to that was able to give you an opportunity to do more.
Yes. Yeah. So yes, it was, I was a practicing dentist where I was, as I always say that, I was crafting beautiful smiles on my patients, yet I was not able to smile from inside with the work. It is not that I was doing a bad work, but I was not happy for what I was doing from inside. There was always something missing. I think it was me who was missing in my life altogether.
Mm,
Looking into that, I was just coming up with a few ideas of how there can be a betterment and all that in the organization and how can we move forward as at the business level. So that was when my ex-boss, he has seen that spark in me and has offered a chance to explore it. And yes, that's how it all started. My leadership journey. Technically, I would say the leadership journey has begun at that time. Yet,
yeah.
leadership always begins from leading yourself first,
Mhm.
right? The self leadership is what, and the rest just follows. Yeah.
Um, so what's different, Divya, now versus in the beginning, other than what you do? Because there was a decision made that you stepped into that place, right? And what I hear is, as a dentist, and I'm going to use the word fulfilling, my word, not yours, right? When you stepped into that space, I don't know if you chose that career for a reason. Maybe there was an expectation that you went down that path. Um, but I'm curious about what's different now because you're obviously living in a different place than where you grew up too. So it takes courage to step
Mhm.
out of this um, investment or path that you're already going down, especially if the grooves, the ruts in the road are pretty good. I mean, you went to school, you got the certifications, you were working for 7, 8 years in that industry. Some people would have said, I mean, I'm not going to waste all this schooling and this training. I guess this is just my life.
Yeah.
What's different? What happened? How did you have the courage to like pick yourself up and go there? I'm gonna do more.
Yeah. And at a point, I've understood that is not, I was always meant to be a leader. I was always leading some sort of team, be it in school or in high school or everywhere. And you know what I was actually missing was contributing to others' life. Though I was treating them, there
Yeah.
was much of contribution that I was doing, is what I understood. And now if you ask me, looking back, I have understood it was never my dream in the first place to become a doctor or a dentist, probably,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So that was me being told that this is what I am meant to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I followed it. I followed it to the T and I was happy with that. I thought I was happy with it, which eventually I understood I was not. And
Yeah.
so when I started picking up or making a choice of choosing something different, yes, I was labeled. Yes, I was criticized. I was judged. And the courage to take up something new by myself was one thing, and to face all those labels and judgments and
Mm-hmm.
yet follow what I always wanted to do was definitely another thing. And here I also feel it was just everybody criticizing or labeling because I couldn't fit into the molds of what the society expected from me or the people
Mm-hmm.
expect, which I think I do not care about it anymore.
Yeah.
As you're happy. And what was the point was, I felt Though I was trying to, yes, I did shrink in to fit into the rooms, to feel belong, to feel accepted.
Mm-hmm.
I felt I was broken from inside and I was not happy from inside. And yes, by the time I had a kid, so when I saw my kid, I felt no, in this kid or any kid in the world never deserves a broken parent who
Mm-hmm.
are at peace with themselves. And I think that is the space where I've started picking up a courage that I got to be the role model for my kid to live life limitlessly, right? Not to live by somebody else's expectations. Yes, if you want to do something, you can go for it and you can achieve it. The results doesn't matter. All
Yeah.
is how are you regulating yourself and how are you moving forward is what I believe now. Yeah.
Yeah. I freaking love that. And I love that there was some turning point, you having a child to say, you know what? I don't want my child to believe that this is all there is.
Yes.
I don't want my child to experience someone who feels, and again, my words, empty,
Yeah.
as far as that space. And because a lot of people do will put on this smile for the outside world,
Mm.
and the inside's not smiling. So it's this hollow sense of a smile. It's not genuine. And children, if no one else, can really pick up on this because they're not, they don't have all the walls up.
Yeah.
Kids are connected, and they're gonna, like dogs, animals will do the same thing. They sense what's really happening and not necessarily the outside shell. So cool stuff, because I know what you're talking about, and it's not everyone in the community that was like, what are you, nuts? Why are you doing this? But it's people that you cared most about in the world that were probably giving you that feedback, because it didn't matter if the guy at the butcher store or the grocery store told you, what, Divya, what are you doing? You're crazy. That doesn't matter. But when your parents are doing it, or siblings, if you have them, or aunts and uncles, or best friends that look at you and go, you need to have your head examined. What are you doing? You're going to walk away from a great career?
Yeah. Especially, I would say, because, I was at the peaks of my career, not just dentistry, even after I've shifted towards the management side of the healthcare. You name it, and I had it. Like what ticks as a success for many people, I had it all. And yet it was feeling empty. And I still remember the day I caught myself thinking, is this all what I want in my life? I keep
Mhm.
questioning that. That question was just haunting me all through and never left until
Yeah.
I taken the step that I had to in the first place. So this is another pivot that, is this what I want to give back to the world, or is this what I want the world to remember me by? Right?
Hmm.
That is what I think that has changed everything, the whole story for me.
Wow. So you're doing stuff now. I'm not sure about circle, part of what is this, the next circle. But I'm curious about, there's two things actually, Divya, is what recommendation would you have for other people, right? Sitting in a space that you were in. And then how did you stay the course when you made the decision? Because I can imagine that, am I doing the right thing? Maybe I'm not doing the right thing. Or maybe it was super easy for you and like full steam ahead. I don't care what anybody's doing. But I can imagine that if you love your family deeply, that their opinions matter and could give you pause of, am I nuts? I mean, should I be doing this?
I think you have rightly mentioned, Michelle. I'll answer your second question first and then we'll back it
Yeah.
over to the first one. Most of the time, as a human being, we start perceiving ourselves by the lens of our most loved ones.
Hmm.
And the quote also goes, the hardest battles are always with the most closest people,
Hmm.
right? So, yes, initially I had this lemon on their face that, okay, are you nuts? What are you even doing? And to be very honest, I didn't have a perfect answer, or I couldn't see the picture that I see today, right? Because I was also on the crossroads. All I wanted was maybe just some unconditional support. Okay, do whatever you want, and we'll see how it goes. And today, to answer your first question there, I want to be that person for anybody on that crossroad right now,
Mhm.
right? So I think this misalignment, or whatever I would love to call it as, shows up very subtly in the sense, like, you're very happy doing, you do not even know that you're uncomfortable with what you're actually doing.
Mhm.
Like for women, I would say it shows up as something like shrinking. I mean, choosing humility, thinking you're just being humble while you're shrinking from inside.
Mm.
Confuse humility for shrinking. Or, just feeling or lowering yourself just to feel accepted. And
Mhm.
inside, you're just, I would say, dying to be yourself. And you
Mhm.
have a conflict inside you that, should I do this or should I not? And it's not that easy to, put down, calm down all those questions and all those demands. Yet, I think that is one challenge that you have to overcome and take a decision. That is what self leadership is about, again, right? Even
Mhm.
neuroscience defines leadership as the regulation of your emotions first and leading yourself first when
Mhm.
you can lead others better, right?
Yeah.
Without leading yourself, I don't believe, at least I advocate what I say, and I believe in leading by an example rather than just preaching something. So if you
Mhm.
can't lead yourself, at least for me, I was like, what am I even doing? If I cannot answer myself or, believe in myself more than anything else, if I cannot believe in myself, and everybody will have this call for themselves, which not the second person would understand, but it's you who got to believe in it first, have faith in it first, and the rest will just follow. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting what you said because it's not necessarily this thing that's screaming at you in the beginning, but it's this feeling. And when I look back on stuff in my life, because I made, and I remember a decision that I made, and I was a finance director at a hospital in this healthcare system. And I wanted more, right? And I was always curious about it was this process improvement role. And I thought it'd be cool if I could do both at the same time, that I could do whatever. And I wanted to join this program that the organization had around developing what they called black belts at the time, right? It was around Six Sigma stuff. And I'm like, it would be really cool. This is how I usually start off things like that are curious, right? Looking back, like you said, you can connect those dots. That'd be really cool to be able to do that. It'd be really cool to be able to learn that stuff. And my boss at the time is like, are you nuts? I mean, you're literally on, I'd gotten done with Leadership Academy, which is the executive development program within the organization, 10-month long. I got done with that. And so I'm on a trajectory for leadership in finance. And I'm looking over at the other pasture, right? And she goes, "You're crazy. You're going to give that away. That's not going to stay. People aren't going to do that. That's not a valid for all the stuff." But inside, I'm like, I'd really be cool. And I wanted to figure, I didn't know the way to do that. Well, it ended up being there was an opportunity. And when I took, it was a lateral move in the organization. So I came from where I was and I went to the top of the pay scale in this role that I was going to because they allowed me to move laterally. Um, but it was one of those things that I knew I wasn't happy in what I was doing, fulfilled the whole bit. And here's the other thing that I'll say to people, Divya, because here's the deal. And I had a colleague say this to me once too, is the experience and the skills that you have, right? Dentistry, all the stuff that you learn, teamwork, the ability to study, engaging with people, customers, clients, all that stuff, right? That doesn't go away. You don't lose that when you start to go on another path. That stuff all comes with you. And so your resilience, your strength, your ability to connect with people, all that stuff comes with you, regardless of the what you're doing. And so a lot of times we kind of tell ourselves we're like leaving all this stuff behind. But I'll challenge it. Are you? Because you're not. You learn things, you experience things, and all that stuff comes with you. So if your soul at the deepest part of who you are is sitting there going, I think there's more. I think there's more. Other people might look at it and go, "Oh my God, look where you're at," and you're like, "But I think there's more." I encourage people to listen to that
Yeah.
and then explore, and just by asking questions, what am I curious about? What interests me? What excites me? When I see someone else doing something and I hear about it, do I get excited about, God, that'd be kind of cool? Those are the things that I think, check it out, get more curious about it, find out about it. Because don't think that you're leaving all that other stuff behind, because all those skills, all the knowledge, all the experience, it comes with you.
Yeah. Yes, yes, absolutely, Michelle. I would really love this, and this is what I tell people also. Like, for example, if you take me, I would love to second you very much that if I want to give you an example, like in dentistry, because I graduated as a dentistry as my basics. So there's
Yes.
not about precision and going deep to the root analysis, right? Rather than diagnosing the surface level thing. And that is exactly what I carry in my work today. I do not give a surface level solution. I go deep to the root cause and try to, work on it rather than pushing it down so that you have a long term results which is sustainable. Right?
Hmm.
That is something I carried from dentistry. Right. So this is how, people tend to say that very easily that, you're letting go of everything. What about everything that you have done? No. And I also believe every experience you have is just prepping you up for something better that is coming up. Right.
Yeah.
When you have this perspective, I mean, I am only curious about everything that I do today. Okay, what is this? Where is this moving to?
Yeah.
Sure, this is gonna add up to the next level. And here also another thing that you have mentioned that, when you were moving to the next level, you wanted to take a shift and people were not. I think it is you not in letting go of something or adding up something. You start to behave and work from the version that requires to do rather than, leaving something behind or carrying something. You
Hmm.
start acting like the version that is meant to actually be there.
Hmm.
That is how people have results and that fulfillment also. That version of you, no, it is already there. And that version of you didn't doubt this version, right? So I think
Yeah.
that all shift that is really necessary to accept.
It's interesting you say that, because what flashed in my head was, when I went from finance, right, to process improvement. So I was facilitating workshops and improvement workshops and coaching leaders and, leadership development, all the stuff. I had someone who knew me previously in the finance role and then experienced me because she was in a workshop that I was leading. And she goes, Michelle, this is what you were meant to do. Right. And it was so funny because she said, what finance, because finance people are typically, pretty closed in and stuff and I never really fit that mold. But finance analytics and, my undergrad's in IT. So I was, access programmer, developer, and access databases. So that's also part of me. And so it's interesting how we have so many layers to ourselves. To your point, you're a business coach, and you're a business coach that has the precision to go deep. But you've also developed the skills as a dentist to be able to sit with somebody in a very vulnerable space. By the way, they got their mouth open, they're not their best selves, and yet you're going to make them feel comfortable, right? And so when we develop those skills, those come with us.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. 100%.
So what's next for you? So if you think about, you made a pretty big leap. You're, I'm assuming still, I mean, are you still figuring it out? Is there, has the dust settled? Do you have a foundation and now we're going to go to the next level?
Yes, yes, absolutely. I have worked on the foundation and I'm building up on it right now. Rather than what is in it, see, I am a person who believe business is not something what you do, right? It
Okay.
is who you become. You're
Yes.
never the same person when you started something or when you're in the middle of it or when you're at the next level of it. So I consider it more of, and your business will never outgrow, in fact, even for your work, will never outgrow the person leading it.
Exactly.
Next level, if you want your next level in your business, you got to grow to that next level as well, who can hold it all with that.
Yeah.
So right now, yes, I am building up on, how can I be like the foundation becomes on this identity plus strategy, which will help you get that sustainable level. So now I am very actively advocating this to people and showing people how the results can go and how joyful, I believe being joyful is the basic necessity which people have now considered as a tick box or a checkbox at some point in life. So this is one thing I want to build up on ki, being joyful is not a difficult or a challenging thing. You can find it and you can do that. Yes.
It's interesting because we find it inside. I go back to Sean Akers' work of Happiness Advantage, and there's a 12-minute TEDx that he did. And it's around productivity in the workplace, but I just refer to it as the Happiness Advantage video. And I've watched it so many times because I've used it in leadership development workshops. But the gist of it is this: in one of the spaces, one of the bullet points is, if I know everything about your external environment, everything, I can only predict 10% of your future happiness because it's an inside job, right? And so what you're talking about too is it's this interesting ownership and recognition that if we're in a space, if we're doing something that we don't love, um, we can shift to where we can make the most of whatever we're in. And to your point, what is the next step? What is the next thing? So we're not, and I've told people all the time, don't run from something, run to something,
Yeah.
because your energy is completely different, right? So if you're in a situation that you don't love, don't just grab the first frickin' thing that comes along, right? And if you're in this energy space of stress and I've got to get out of here and victim mode and all the stuff, you've shut down all the creative learning centers in your brain. Okay. You're in fight, flight, or freeze mode, and you're literally going to grab the next thing that comes along. Don't do that. Feel it. Go, you know what? I'm curious. What is my next thing? What am I curious about? What am I interested in? And then go looking. And I've coached leaders along that path. If you have a clear path of what you ultimately want to do, right? I want to be, I'm just going to make stuff up right now, CEO of this organization, or chief medical officer. I'm in the healthcare space a lot. Chief nurse exec, right? Of this. If that's your ultimate goal, make sure that the thing that you're grabbing is on your way to that ultimate goal. If you have that clarity, right? But don't go over here and grab this other thing just to grab this other thing. If you don't have a path, right, which I never did until I did, um, figure out what interests you, what you have curiosity around, because that is your inside speaking to you of, go look over there. Over there looks like a pretty cool place to hang out for a while. But don't run from something. Get yourself grounded, figure out things are never as bad as you're telling yourself they are. Because we start filtering through this, I got to get out of here. I can't handle this. Stop saying that. Of course you can handle it. Of course you don't have to get out of here right now. Is it the best thing no. Is the person you report to amazing? No. But you can handle this because it's for a very short period of time. So get grounded and then look around.
Yeah. And I think the more you have really said it well that, don't try to run away from something. The more you try to run away from something, the more it chases you actually, right?
Yes.
And the more you are talking about the path, what you do is about the strategy that you have. And how you do it is decided by your identity. And your identity is what you believe to be true about yourself. So
Mhm.
when you change that narrative, how you do it changes. Like you were telling, what is it excites that me next? Or what am I
Mhm.
curious about? Even when you think about it, when you're not grounded in your identity, you make different choices in the same.
Mhm.
But when you're grounded and you're calm and composed, you make a different choice.
Mhm.
Will follow, right?
Yeah, I love it. Um, it's just it's been a really cool conversation. Divya. It really has. And I appreciate you and the time and your journey. You're more than welcome to come back and update, us and me on what you're learning and what's going on. I'm curious, what do you want people to walk away with from this conversation, this chat? Yeah.
I would say it's not that easy to work on your alignment, but trust me, it brings a lot of change. And I also believe the word align that has got I in the center, right? ALIGN. So it has got an I in the center. And I believe it's for a reason. So,
Mm,
start working from, are you really joyful in doing what you do? Or as you said, is this really interesting me? How curious am I about it? I mean, life is gonna be fun when you come from that perspective. Was,
mhm,
oh my God, why is this happening to me? It's gonna change the whole vibe and whole energy. And it also impacts on what you're doing. So for you to
mhm,
get better results, try to find that aspect of curiousness in anything that you do. And not every aspect has to be very curious. There'll be
mhm,
parts that are curious, that are parts that you'll feel bored away with. But yet, if you can have that childlike spirit is what they call, right? Childlike spirit of being curious all the time. I think you'll just look at your life from a different frame altogether.
mhm. Yeah, what comes to mind for me is if you're in that space that the running narrative in your mind is that you don't have a choice. And I hear it from people. I don't have a choice. It has to be this way. I don't have any other options. When you're in that space, you're absolutely right. If you're in that mental health headspace, because you're not giving your brain any clues that, hey, we're kind of open to other choices and other opportunities. And if that's the narrative that you got going, change it. And I have people go, it can't be that simple. Oh, but yes, it is. Yes, it is. Literally change that to, I don't have any choices, that my choices are limitless.
Yeah,
This is the only option, to what other options are there? And when you
yeah,
start reframing that, and at first it may feel like, you're just saying the words, I want you to really embody them and really believe them because they're true.
yeah.
So change the stuff that you feel is anchoring you down in the worst possible way. And I don't mean grounding, I mean like anchoring you and holding you back. Flip that language, because words matter. And the most important and powerful words are the ones that we say to ourselves. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And if I can add on what you were telling,
Yes.
reframe is the best part. And the best part, yes, it is good if you can believe it in yourself. And the best part is, even if you cannot believe it in the beginning, just keep repeating it. You never believe 2 plus 2 makes 4, right? You just got it through repetition.
Yeah.
You're not going to lose anything. Keep repeating good things instead of, what is not in your favor. So just keep repeating, and you'll find it to be so easy one day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just put a smile on your face when you're doing it, because that's the other thing too. It sends this message to your brain. There's
Yeah.
something to be happy about, and it will give you dopamine rush in that moment. So yeah, it's these little hacks that are super freaking powerful. So thank you again. So this has been Leadership Soundbites with Dr. Divya and Michelle. And until next time, please like, share, subscribe. We truly appreciate you taking the time to listen. And until next time, have a freaking awesome day. Thank you.